like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you and then we could
Hollywood is on fire as Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively go head-to-head in a brutal legal battle. Justin's attorney has unleashed damning evidence exposing how Blake twisted the truth. But what really sent shockwaves through the industry? A leaked voice message from Justin himself where he reveals that Blake banished him to the basement during his own movie premiere. Now, Justin's team is striking back with undeniable proof that Blake manipulated the media to destroy his reputation. The internet is in chaos, Ryan Reynolds is being pulled into the mess, and Blake's credibility is hanging by a thread. Justin Baldoni should have been celebrating the biggest night of his career. His film, It Ends With Us, was finally premiering, a project he had poured his heart and soul into. But instead of walking the red carpet with his cast, instead of standing in the spotlight as the director, he was locked in a basement. According to Justin, Blake Lively, his lead actress, demanded that he be removed from the event. Security escorted him away, and he spent over an hour hiding underground while the rest of the team enjoyed the premiere. His friends and family, who had come to celebrate with him, were forced to join him in isolation. At first, they laughed at the absurdity of the situation, but underneath the laughter was something much darker, a realization that this wasn't just Hollywood politics, this was personal.
And a lot of people stay in their lane, they know their role, and they'll go through with it, but the more powerful you get, the larger of a public figure you are, the more control you feel you have.
What could make an actress go to such extreme lengths to erase a director from his own project? Was this retaliation, a power move, or was there something even bigger at play? That's what we're here to uncover. And trust me, once you see the receipts that Justin's legal team just dropped, you'll never look at Blake Lively the same way again. Let's get into it. The internet went into a frenzy when a voice message from Justin Baldoni leaked. In it, his voice is calm, but there's no mistaking the pain beneath his words. On what could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my career, I was literally sent to the basement with all of my friends and family, over an hour, because I wasn't allowed to be seen. He explains that Blake didn't want him anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. Justin's voice cracks slightly as he recalls how surreal it felt watching the film he directed being celebrated upstairs while he was hidden away like a problem that needed to be erased. We started laughing because of the ridiculousness of it all, but deep down I knew this wasn't just some mix-up, this was intentional.
As I walked out, I just started crying because I was afraid.
The clip spread like wildfire. Fans were stunned. How could a director be treated like this at his own premiere? And why would Blake, an actress known for her poised and polished image, go to such extreme lengths to keep him out? But the real bombshell? This was just the beginning. The real question is, why did Blake Lively do this? Well, Hollywood is no stranger to power struggles and behind-the-scenes drama, but Blake's move against Justin was something else. She didn't just ignore him, she made sure he wasn't even visible. But why? At first, speculation ran wild. Some assumed it was just a personal feud between the two. Others believed it was about control, that Blake, as the film's star, wanted to shift the spotlight entirely onto herself. But then a much darker theory started to emerge. Blake had already accused Justin of orchestrating a smear campaign against her. She claimed he allowed negative press about her to circulate and that she was now taking action to protect herself. But here's where things get messy. Justin's legal team shut down those claims instantly, and they brought receipts. They revealed that Blake had edited conversations before sharing them with the media, twisting innocent discussions into something sinister. And that's when people started questioning everything.
The gossip magazines and everybody is dating everyone, everybody hates everyone, everybody's like had tons of plastic surgery and we're actually men and trannies.
If Blake was willing to manipulate text messages to paint herself as a victim, what else had she fabricated? Was her banishing Justin from the premiere just another calculated move to reinforce a false narrative? And most importantly, was this entire legal war just a distraction from the truth? One thing is clear, the battle lines have been drawn. Justin isn't backing down, and with his attorney exposing more secrets by the day, Blake's carefully controlled image is starting to crumble. And trust me, things are about to get a whole lot uglier. The premiere night disaster was just the beginning. Justin Baldoni had been humiliated, but he wasn't going to let Blake Lively erase him without a fight. What followed was a legal war so intense that it shook Hollywood to its core. Justin fired the first shot. His lawsuit against the New York Times wasn't just about defending his reputation, it was about exposing a web of lies. The moment he sued, the floodgates opened, and the truth began to spill out, but Blake wasn't about to sit back and take the hit. Just hours after Justin's lawsuit made headlines, she launched her own federal lawsuit against him. It wasn't just about clearing her name, it was about ruining his. What was once a behind-the-scenes feud had now exploded into a full-scale legal war. Justin Baldoni didn't just sue the New York Times, he came armed with undeniable proof that the publication had recklessly published false information.
Are you acknowledging that there may have been some behavior on set that could have made some of the cast, including Blake Lively, uncomfortable?
I think there's some behavior always that can make people uncomfortable, and I don't think anybody has the intention to do that.
His lawsuit accused the paper of libel, invasion of privacy, and fraud. But the real bombshell? He had receipts that proved Blake Lively had misled the media to push her own narrative. According to Justin's legal team, the New York Times had been fed a carefully curated version of events, one that painted Blake as the victim and Justin as the villain. But in reality, Blake had strategically released only select portions of text messages, emails, and interactions while hiding key details that completely changed the context. Justin's lawsuit revealed that the New York Times had rushed to publish Blake's allegations without waiting for Justin's response. The article went live nearly 2 hours before the deadline his team had been given to provide a statement. The publication had allegedly ignored evidence that contradicted Blake's claims. There was proof that Blake's legal team had coordinated with the paper to craft a damning article against Justin, turning public opinion against him before he even had a chance to defend himself. His legal team wasn't just coming for the New York Times, they were coming for everyone involved in spreading falsehoods about him. And to prove their case, they were taking an unprecedented step. Unlike most lawsuits, which are fought behind closed doors, Justin's attorney, Brian Friedman, announced that every single piece of evidence, every text, email, and document would be published online for the public to see. This was a power move like no other. Justin wasn't just defending himself in court, he was putting the entire entertainment industry and media on trial. He wanted the world to see the truth for themselves. And that truth? Blake Lively had orchestrated a narrative that wasn't just misleading, it was outright false. But if Justin thought exposing the truth would make Blake back down, he was dead wrong. Blake responded with a lawsuit of her own. And this time, she wasn't just suing the media. She was coming directly for Justin. Blake Lively's response was swift, calculated, and brutal. She filed a federal lawsuit in New York, and she wasn't just asking for an apology, she was demanding cold, hard cash. Blake accused Justin of causing her severe emotional distress, claiming that his alleged actions had led to mental pain and anguish, lost wages, and damage to her professional reputation. But there was something suspicious about the timing of her lawsuit. Legal experts quickly pointed out that Blake had filed an earlier lawsuit in California, but had never intended to take it to trial. Why? Because filing in California would have required her to go through the discovery process, where she would be forced to turn over her own communications, answer questions under oath, and allow investigators to dig into her version of events. By moving the case to federal court in New York, she was trying to maintain control over the narrative. Her legal team tried to frame it as a response to Justin's supposed retaliation, but Justin's team flipped the script, arguing that Blake's lawsuit was nothing more than a nuisance lawsuit, a legal tactic used to damage someone's reputation without ever intending to take it to trial. According to Justin's team, Blake wasn't looking for justice, she was looking for revenge, and the evidence was mounting against her. Leaked documents from the case revealed that Blake had been advised not to file a full lawsuit because doing so would require her to turn over her own private messages and emails, which could expose even more inconsistencies in her story.
Actor-director Justin Baldoni is now suing his former co-star Blake Lively and her husband Ryan Reynolds.
Instead, she had chosen to create as much public damage as possible without ever stepping into a courtroom. The strategy was clear. File a dramatic lawsuit to dominate the headlines. Frame Justin as the villain while avoiding the legal scrutiny of a full trial. Use the media to reinforce her version of events, whether it was true or not. But there was just one problem. Justin wasn't playing by Hollywood's rules. His legal team was ripping apart Blake's claims piece by piece, exposing every contradiction, every manipulated text message, and every hidden truth she didn't want the public to see. Blake had started this war thinking she could control the outcome, but Justin was about to change the game. The battle that had been brewing behind the scenes was finally making its way to the courtroom. What had started as a Hollywood scandal had escalated into one of the most high-profile lawsuits in recent memory. The entertainment industry, the media, and millions of fans were glued to every update. It wasn't just about Justin Baldoni and Blake Lively anymore. It was about power, reputation, and the truth. Justin walked into the courtroom ready to fight for his name. His legal team, led by powerhouse attorney Brian Friedman, had built their case with precision. They had the texts, the emails, the voice recordings, evidence that would shatter the carefully constructed story that had been spun against him. Blake arrived with the same confidence she had displayed throughout the scandal. Her legal team had crafted a case designed to paint her as a victim of mistreatment and retaliation. She had the support of the media, Hollywood elites, and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, who was working behind the scenes to control the narrative. But what neither side expected was how brutal this fight would become once the evidence was laid out. Justin's team wasted no time ripping apart Blake's claims. They presented full, unedited conversations that directly contradicted the versions Blake had previously released to the press. The messages proved that she had selectively edited her texts to make it appear as though Justin had been behind a smear campaign, when in reality, those conversations had a completely different context. The courtroom was silent as Brian Friedman exposed the manipulation. The judge carefully examined the messages, and legal experts watching from the gallery whispered among themselves. The case was starting to fall apart for Blake.
Just put me in any clothes and give me any words and have me step in and transform. And I used to be very insecure about that. I used to feel like an imposter because I would watch actors who were just shapeshifters. They could do it in any circumstance.
Then came the basement incident. Justin's team played a voice recording of his emotional account, describing how he had been sent to the basement on the night of the premiere. They presented witness testimony from crew members who confirmed that Justin had been deliberately kept away at Blake's request. The jury saw security footage from the venue showing Justin and his loved ones waiting in the basement while the rest of the cast celebrated upstairs. The public opinion began to shift. What once looked like a story of a powerful man retaliating against a woman in Hollywood was now looking like a calculated takedown, orchestrated to destroy Justin's career. Blake's team scrambled to regain control. They insisted that Justin was playing the victim, that he was twisting the narrative to save himself, but when questioned directly about the full conversations in the basement incident, Blake's responses became vague. She dodged key questions, and at one point the judge pressed her on why her initial lawsuit had omitted crucial context. Tension filled the courtroom. What had started as an undeniable case against Justin was now unraveling in real time. As the trial continued, Justin's team went on the offensive. They called in media experts who testified that the New York Times had rushed its article without fact-checking. They revealed internal emails showing that the story had been pushed out early before Justin could even respond. The credibility of the article, which had played a massive role in turning the public against Justin, was now in serious question. Blake's lawyers tried to push back, arguing that none of this erased the emotional distress she had suffered, but facts were facts, and the courtroom was no longer on her side. Justin sat calmly, watching the case turn in his favor. He had spent months being vilified, painted as the villain in a story that had never been fully told. But now, in the one place where only the truth mattered, he was finally getting his chance to set the record straight. The world had been watching. The media had built Blake up as the hero, but now the truth was out, and Hollywood's biggest scandal was about to reach its shocking conclusion.